Greetings. So today's question is, what can be done with the continuous low-level anxiety? I wake up with anxiety. There's nothing really challenging happening, but it feels like a tightness around my heart all the time. So this is a very common topic that comes up, and I've experienced it myself, and it, it oftentimes we use our softeners, our addictions, to get around sitting close to that feeling. So we're turning back thousands of years of conditioning, of running away from anything that feels uh, what we would call bad, or what feels like our own suffering. And what we're doing is we're turning around and we're walking towards it. So in my experience, even after this initial awakening happened for me, I still woke up every single day with just terrible thoughts, felt terrible in my body, obviously. And I had a meditation practice, still wake up every morning. And I added body work in, and at some point, it just stopped happening. I stopped waking up with any thoughts. It's just quiet and very peaceful, very quiet and peaceful. So, what can be done is to first bring in lots of loving kindness and compassion. Treat ourselves like a mother would treat us, like a very loving grandmother. Um, Moving into that space with some curiosity and quiet. So it takes a certain amount of self-love, a certain amount of care that begins first. That's the first step, care. And then we move into where that tightness is in our body. Is it the little tendons around our heart? Where is it in our belly, in our lower belly? We put all of our attention there, all of it there, and just offer it some spaciousness. Right? Let's say that we're resistant to getting on a meditation mat and sitting still, right? Go for a walk and put all the attention wherever that feeling is, and just be with it. And then let the subtle voice of that suffering speak to you. So who's to know what comes from that? And eventually we soften this area of anxiety that we're carrying around, just oftentimes just the residue of traumas. The second part of that is, because we don't know, the questioner hasn't told us what their story is, but the other part of this is anxiety is very future based. Shame, regrets, all that's past. So the future based anxiety is anticipation and expectation of events that have yet to occur. Right? We're still lost in the dream, that the dream is going here when we don't know where the next moment is going. That's why the present moment is the moment of sanity, being present in our skin. So the healing for that is the same. So to move closer to the feeling, right? Sometimes you'll have a realization of where the expectations are coming from and um, where the fear resides, really.
How much of that do you think is like sometimes I feel these patterns we pick up from our environment, or they may be a grandfather or a relative that has those anxiety patterns. How much do you think it's a pattern that we picked up from? That's one thing I learned from Eckhart is, I don't know if it's chapter 2 or 3, that we have these, he uses a term past conditioning,
Mm.
conditioned patterns, right?
Yes. Yes, it could just be the momentum. So I wasn't telling these big stories. So when the consciousness came and cracked the shell of my very thick ego and my whole cargo ship um, of, of patterns and egoic behaviors, um, when that happened, the sharpness of it stopped. The the sharpness, the acting out in sharp ways went away on its own. And then for years, up until 2 years ago, I was still waking up, and I would describe it. I would come to the Eckhart group and say, I have to climb out of a pit in the morning, it feels like. And does anybody have a tip for me? And the healing for me was to stay the course with my stillness and presence practice. So Eckhart says we can meditate anywhere, and he's right. We walking down the street in a concert hall, in a park, in an office building, in a cubicle, we can still feel the stillness and the peace that resides with it. And that is, it always circles around. All of our healing oftentimes circles around that. We can all offer and help each other along the way. But ultimately, opening ourselves to our own wisdom is where we're going. Isn't that beautiful?
He calls it the non-conceptual intelligence.
So I've kind of put some things down here, a couple of Eckhart quotes that I thought